G'day fellas, and welcome to your review of the pup. That is correct. The public update preview is now live, including the brand new, check this one out, boom, the color picker. It's finally here. They said the technology wasn't possible in 2022, but we fucking got it. The color picker is here. Congratulations to everybody who rallied around this. Of course, you might see some other things in here. This is because we've got a crafted map. If I just change it to Dry Arabia, you'll see it disappears. But we've still got our color picker. It is there. There's also been a whole bunch of other changes as well to ranked. So you can see that now you've got a map preference and you have the ability to downvote maps. And as you guys know, we're going to downvote Black Forest. We're going to downvote Boulder Bay. We're going to downvote... Oh, man, I don't have enough downvotes. Now... we'll talk more about this, but you can see that there are 5 downvotes. It's a beautiful system. It works absolutely flawlessly, and it also works for team games. So if you're playing team games, and I'm sure you are, because I know a lot of you guys are team games fans, there's another big change for you guys. Yes, it has finally happened. All right. You know the situation where you're sitting in a team game and you're like, oh man, everything's going absolutely perfectly here. Nothing could ruin my day. And then the Chinese player comes in with 78 elite fire lancers and they kill all of your landmarks and you tap out. Congratulations. They've gone away with that. Now to kill an enemy player or eliminate them through that mechanism, you're going to actually have to kill every single landmark on the enemy team. So it means that if you've got 2 teammates, you have to kill every single landmark for both of those teammates, and then the team gets eliminated. It does not eliminate the individual player anymore. So that's a huge change. We're going to be talking about all the changes for the pup. This is going to be quite a long video, so if there's something that you're specifically looking for, I'm going to leave timestamps down below because I think this is probably going to be pretty important here. I'm going to be doing not only a look through at this, but I'm also going to be giving a review and talking about what my opinion is of it, because there are some changes in here that I am not a big fan of, and I will be very happy, well, not very happy, but I will express my opinion, and I will do so with honesty. Now, obviously, that's not going to be Twitch stamps. Oh, Twitch stamps, timestamps for Twitch. And if you do notice that not my voice, but if I make some English mistakes, it is 6:40 a.m. Now, I did wake up at 6 p.m., not 6 a.m., 6 p.m. I've had a few drinks as well, so we might get a little bit unruly. But let's talk about what we've got. So a whole bunch of changes. I'm not going to go through absolutely everything. We're just going to be talking about the good ones. So hotkeys. I don't know whether everything's been remapped or what they've done. We can even go in and have a look. For me, personally, like the one thing that I just want is, can we just get like a hotkey to select all of the same unit? I just want to be able to select a spearman and press a button and select all my spearmen, and then from there continue working. I don't know whether we've got that. Let's have a look and see if we can try and find it. Unit selection. Select all units on screen. Or idle. I'm not seeing it. Select all military units. I'm not seeing it. I don't know why it's not in there. Isn't it control click on a unit? Wait, are you serious? Have they had it this whole time? Yo, don't tell me that. I've been over here given Age of Empires for like 3s out of 10s on review websites saying like, I can't select all of my units from the same thing and do it in one click. Are you telling me this whole time I could have just been pressing control and then clicking, and then it gives you everything? Hold on. Oh my god. Oh my, what? What is my camera angle right now? Why am I zoomed out like this? Why am I playing Civilization 6 right now? Okay, interesting. Now, I'm assuming I can probably zoom back into where it's meant to be. I'm sure that this is probably a setting that I haven't done it. So yeah, you can double click a unit, but that's only going to give you all of the units on the same screen. So if I come over here and then I double click this guy, it's only going to give me these 2. But if I press control click, no, control click only gives me the units there. No, the reviews stand. The negative reviews stand on all of the websites I've been doing it on. It's still not there. I digress. So they've got a whole bunch of hotkeys. So if you got friends like me, Hazza, he is one of my friends who didn't play because of hotkeys. It was difficult for him. They've now improved the mapping of hotkeys. Control click equals double click. Indeed it does. So map preference system, we've already talked about that. Introducing a brand new map called The Pit. The Pit. Who would have thought they'd take Marine Lord's mum and put her in such a place? Let's see if we can find it. Hey guys, I'm allowed to joke about Marine Lord's mum because we are friends. We met in real life, and that means that we're allowed... Where is it? Well, there it is. We are allowed to talk about each other's mothers like that. But you guys can't. You guys can't talk about it like that. All right, so the pit is described as... the new panoramic camera option. Okay, there you go. I think not only do you have like a greater zoom, but you have a different zoom. So this is the pit. I don't know whether they described it. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so I don't know whether this is going to be on ranked or not, but you have... Okay, quite literally a pit in the middle. It's going to be easy to wall off, but you've got very open sides. Interesting. Okay, well there you go. There's a brand new map. I like it. It's open. I guess you can wall off pretty easily. Oh, not really. You know what? I feel like you can still wall off pretty easily. I like it. All right. Let's jump into what the next things are. Victory conditions. Oh, so these are known issues. So with the pup, keep in mind all of this. This is due to go online, oh gosh, in maybe like a month. This is meant to be like the Season 2 update. And so with that, there's a whole bunch of bugs that are still in there, but obviously they want to push this stuff live. And so that's why they've still got these bugs in here. So there's still going to be things. We're just going to skip over that. As I said, if you want to see this if you want to read over these, for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can grab it. Shortcuts and remappable hotkeys. So they've just changed a whole bunch of stuff. Like hunting cabins is now merged with select all mills because it makes sense. And this is a big one. I'm really happy that they've done this. Event queue and notifications. When there are too many alerts on the map, they can become meaningless noise. We trimmed out redundant and not useful information so you can focus on critical events. And this is something that I harp on a lot. It just gets to the point where there's so much information that is just not useful. It's just not useful. And so they've gone ahead and they've reduced the number of map pings when multiple attacks occur next to each other. So I'm assuming that's like army. And then they've also increased the notification retrigger time when buildings are attacked from 0 to 15. Like, hallelujah. Thank you very much. I don't need to know that my mill is under attack from that Mongol outpost with arrow slits every single second of the game. Thank you. Removed map ping on upgrade complete. Awesome. Ally under attack ping changed from red to blue. Cool. Ally under attack pings. Cool. So the next big change is this one right here. There has been a giant rework to Siege. Absolutely huge. And I cannot understate this by saying this is the biggest change to Age of Empires 4 to date. The game will be completely different from here. So what's happening? Basically, units now attack Siege with their weapons rather than with torches. And this this obviously changes the dynamics for units like the Horseman, for the Fire Lancer, for units that have got that longer stabby range. That means that they can really get in there. It also means that things like Night Chargers can do a fuckload of damage against Siege if you don't have Spearmen there. And that's exactly what they're talking about. So just to go over these, because these are really important. It's so important that we give this the time it deserves, because this is going to change the way that the game plays massively. So, units that attack with melee weapons no longer switch to torches when targeting Siege. Villagers continue to use torches against Siege and also get +2 damage versus Siege. Horseman melee weapons gain +10 bonus to Siege. So just remember, like a Horseman, it has +9 damage versus a ranged unit. Well, now it's got +10 damage versus Siege. So I don't know whether against a Springald it would get +19, but I would assume it's probably just +10. Other torches no longer deal bonus damage versus Siege. Okay, villager repair rate of Siege units reduced from 20 to 5 health a second. Now, there's two components to this, because we will talk about this, because obviously this looks like, this is incredible. This is exactly what you want it to be, but it's not as big as you think it is, because a lot of people would be looking at that and being like, that's a massive nerf. Yeah, it is, but there's a huge change to Siege that's also happened, and that is that the health of Siege has been reduced massively across the board. Mangonel health reduced, Springald health reduced, Rebaldaquin health reduced, Culverin health reduced. Everything has had a reduced health pool, or at least in the Siege capacity. So basically what it means is that pretty much everything it has got less health and subsequently is more flimsy or more likely to die. You know, those Night Charges that we were talking about? Yeah, that's what we're talking about, because there's a lot of damage that comes out of one of those bad boys. So basically it just makes it like you're being punished a lot more. And so your health now is essentially like when you were to if you were to compare it to this here, you'd basically say it'd be equivalent to like 10 health a second. Okay, so it's still going to be pretty damn good. It's still, like, honestly, it's probably still too much, but that's okay. That's all right. We can deal with it. You know, baby steps. Obviously, we're not taking baby steps here. We are running before we're even walking with these changes. And then, so the ranged armor increased to 20 for all siege weapons. So basically means that crossbows aren't going to be able to counter them the way that they were before. Bombards and cannons have 30 ranged armor, so basically especially strong against hand cannoneers in Age 4. And Siege Works armor bonus increases from 3 to 10. So your cannons, your bombards in late game will have 40 ranged armor, which means that hand cannoneers, I think they get about, 45 damage in the late game? I don't know, is chat able to clarify this? I think it's 45 damage. So basically it means that all of your ranged units are not going to be able to penetrate as much as what they were before, which is something that we saw a lot. And then so reduce the height of trebuchet and defensive cannon projectile trajectories to make them easier to read. So that is another great change and an issue that I ran into. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So ram health has been reduced from 700 to 420. Nice. Mangonel health is reduced, armor increased. And as I said, everything, I'm not going to read it for all of them, but the health has been decreased and the armor has been increased. And so that's, you know, a consideration to make. And you can actually see Rebaldicun melee armor is increased down here. So the next part is the Springolds. So there's also changes to the Springolds with the change in direction for this. We've also got a change in direction in how much damage the Springolds deal. Now, interestingly, it looks like the developers didn't actually reduce the amount of damage that the Springold does. So we're going to jump into a quick game and we're just going to double check that, because the Springold obviously got nerfed from 60 damage down to 30 damage, and there's still a lot of players at the top level that think that the Springolds probably still does a bit too much base damage, and it's not specialized enough. Oh my god, this is going to throw me off, isn't it? So I'm going to drop down a Siege Workshop. I'm going to get my my Imperial Official out. Dude, this is going to take me so long to get used to. Now, I'm pretty confident that I can change this probably under camera. So if I just were to go down and just put it back to classic and hit close, and bam, and everything still looks the same. Maybe I've got to like restart the game. Don't worry. I'm sure that's a normal part of it. So we're gonna get a Springald out. I just want to double check and make sure, because if we're talking about this kind of stuff and doing our calculations and carrying our ones and you know, dotting our I's and crossing our T's, we need to make sure that we've got all the correct numbers. All right, so Springald is going to be doing 30 base damage with 70 versus Siege. Okay, so there you guys go. So it is the equivalent of 100 damage that's coming in from a Springald. So Springald is still going to two-shot a Mangonel. It is still going to two-shot another Springald. And it is going to... So it does 100 damage, remember that. So it's not going to two-shot a Culverin. Now, obviously, there's a lot of upgrades here as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop my Spirit Way, which, by the way, has been changed as well. We'll talk about that later. But essentially, it's going to change the dynamic for the entire way that Siege works. And I think they're looking to try and keep it, but obviously there's other big changes as well. Bombard health being reduced. The ranged armor has been increased significantly, but do note that obviously those units that hit in melee are going to be the primary units that look to take these out, obviously, and Culverin and Springolds as well. Nest of Bees health has been reduced from 200 down to 140, and the Clock Tower Nest of Bees health has been reduced from 300 to 210. So basically it means your Clock Tower Nest of Bees still require 3 shots from a Springald to kill, whereas your standard Nest of Bees requires 2 shots from a Springald to kill. So there's still a big difference from there. We've now reached our age up. It requires the dynasties, and I haven't reached those dynasties. So that doesn't affect... let's take a look at the university, because they've made a change to the Siege Works. I think that's it, though. Actually, I don't think there's any other way to get damage on your Springald, is there? So, yeah, that should be fine. 125 health looks beautiful as well. Yeah, so it increases the health by 20% and their ranged armor by 10. So the Springald would go from 125, so it's still going to get 2-shot. I think it gets 1-shot by a Culverin as well. So, yeah, the Culverin is... So, Culverin went from... Wait, they increased Culverin damage from 75 to 85? Dude, Culverins are badass motherfuckers, dude. Damn. And they reduced the bonus damage. Dude, Culverin is the new Bombard. Holy shit. I guess it doesn't have a lot of siege damage, though. That's the big factor. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about other things, because there's been so many damn changes. And we're going to make sure that we go through absolutely everything here. So, let's take a look at villager and economy changes. Deer and sheep, which are blocking a building foundation, will now move out of the area much, much faster. Remember the Mongol TC rush? It's faster than that. So, let's say I've got a whole bunch of villagers over here, or rather a whole bunch of sheep over here. And I tell you what, it's going to take a while for me to get used to this. So if I put that down like that, okay, so the sheep won't actually move until the villager comes over. Much better, much better. And that can't be exploited either. So that very, very good change. Really, really good change there. So trade ships no longer return additional gold. Actually, let's leave that on. Let's enjoy some sound in the background. So, trade ships no longer return additional gold. Instead, they return 100% of the trade value as wood. That's actually quite good. Effectively meaning they get the same amount of wooded gold. Shorefish and riverfish occupy a smaller impasse, reducing the likelihood of unintended stomping when placing docks, or intentional stomping. So that is another great change. Villagers will now prefer deer over berry bushes after building a new mill or gur. Interesting. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, but villagers sometimes will prefer berries over deer as well. I can't get it. I can't work it out 100% of the time, but it does happen occasionally. Reduces the travel distance villagers will scan for new resources after exhausting a stone outcropping, gold vein, or forest. Okay, now this is something that you want to be really careful with, because this happened in Age of Empires 3. And basically, they increased the distance that villagers could scan for new resources. And I'm not kidding you, like, they would scan through the fog of war. So I would have a villager here collecting wood, and the wood would finish, and they would go down to here and then collect from a new forest that I hadn't even scouted out. I'm like, okay, that's kind of broken. But the issue is that if you bring it down, and let's say you have a lumber camp here, okay, that your villagers might, like, obviously it's a good thing, because if you want to replace your lumber camp, it's going to help you. It's going to notify you that, hey, actually, I just realized, why can't I select my trees? I can't select trees anymore. I used to be able to select trees and see how many trees there were. Now I can't. They didn't mention that in the changelog. Maybe same with Chinese. They prefer berries over sheep 100% of the time at the beginning. I'm not too sure, Tedros. I'm not too sure. But, yeah, so in this case, I think this is definitely the right choice. Hopefully, they've got the perfect amount of distance where it is just exactly what you want, and you're not going to be annoyed by this. So, let's move on to buildings. So, units will be able to attack stonewall gates, which are under construction. Once construction is completed, they will no longer be able to. So, just the key here is the gates. I didn't read the gates the first time, but yeah, it's stone walls and stonewall gates now. Building emplacement bonus damage versus boats now applies to demo ships and non-combat ships. Arrow slipped in placement bonus range decrease from 2 to 1. Beautiful. What a great change. What an absolute great change. A change in the right direction. I still think it's probably going to need more than that, but I'm happy with this. This is such a good start. It's going to hurt those tower rushes that you've seen, and it takes the towers from being more of an aggressive an aggressive piece of your composition and puts it a bit more on the defensive end. So that's a lot better. I'm super happy with that. But hold on. Actually, that's a good point. Building emplacement bonus damage versus boat now applies to demo ships and non-combat ships. I think, didn't that always... I'm pretty sure that always applied to fishing boats. Didn't it? I'm not sure exactly. We might have to test that one. Sprinkled emplacement damage decreased from 60 to 40. Attack speed decreased from 6.25 to 4.5. So basically, it's going to be firing faster, but it's going to be doing less damage. And that's a pretty decent nerf as well. A reduction of 33%. I don't know if that corresponds with the attack speed. I would assume it's probably close to it. But obviously, it means that it is going to be overkilling less, but at the same time, it's just going to be dealing less damage. So this is a great change. 100% support this one. Cannon emplacement damage decrease from 85 to 70. Another good change. Definitely one that needed to happen. They're obviously looking to keep the identity of the cannon emplacement in as a unit that does 100% of AoE damage around the initial target, which is super cool. Buildings that cost exclusively stone now cost stone to repair instead of wood. I like this a lot. This is really big. You guys have seen those games where it's a 1 versus 1 on dry Arabia, and Delhi gets a compound of the defender, and they drop 18 keeps. I'm not even kidding you. I wish I was kidding you. That's not like, that is the reality. And by the way, we're gonna go with, what are we gonna go with? I think we're gonna go with a teal here. We're gonna go with a teal, a nice little teal. So let's just have a look at how much stone is on the map and talk about theoretically, because theoretically, you know, how much are you going to be able to heal up these keeps? And by the same token, it might mean that we have to even nerf trebuchets and their damage versus them, or maybe give keeps a little bit more of defense against those. So if we were to just count the stone that's out here at the moment, so we've got 3,000, 6,000 between these two, 7,500 over here. We got ourselves a little bit of a divot, so that's 9,000. That's 10,500. That's 12,000. That's 15,000 up here, and then that's 16, 17, 18,000. So on this map in total, there's 18,000 pieces of stone, which basically limits the amount that you can now repair your keeps, which mean that they essentially can die. So that's the big factor, because obviously stone in the late game, it's a lot rarer than wood. And I mean, even on these maps, there's still, both of those resources are finite resources. You don't have your farms or your trade, which are both infinite. But here in this case, the keep being something that requires a repair from stone, it makes it a lot more strategic as to how you spend your stone, because then you need to start asking the question, and this happens quite a lot. As an example, if let's say that you've got a mining camp out here, okay, and this happens especially with the French. If you've got a mining camp out here, is it better for you to repair this mining camp while it's being sieged down by 2 scouts, or is it better just to let it die and build another one once it comes up? Because it takes a lot of resources to actually repair this. And I suspect it's going to be the same with the keep, and we'll have to work it out. Obviously, the pros give input, they give feedback about this, and it's going to take time to find a balance, but my fear is that keeps will become... Maybe just more importance on stone will get placed, or maybe people will just have more priority. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe stone becomes an actual big priority for people now. And because right now, if you were to look at a map, people put their keeps on the big gold mines. They don't put them on the stone as much. It still happens, but not as much. Maybe now we'll actually see players looking to fight over those stone mines. So who knows exactly what direction we'll go. So relic limit on all monasteries and landmarks that act as monasteries set to 3. So that means that if you manage to get 3 relics and then you capture a 4th one, you're going to need to drop down another monastery. So basically just forcing people this is a great thing for people who like to play feudal. So if you're playing like France against Holy Roman Empire and they get up to age 3, then basically it's going to force them to go into another monastery. Keep landmarks now correctly activate a new weapon for each of their garrison slots. All town centers now correctly. I don't know what that means. Food deposit buildings can now be placed closer to fish resources in shallow water. That is a really good sign. Hopefully it means that you can have your mill right up against your shorefish. That will be very, very sweet if that's the case. And Stonewall health when construction begins reduced from 10% to 1%. Oh, I like that. I do like that a lot, because I was playing a free-for-all earlier today, and the army was literally right there, and I'm just like, eh, and I just built the walls so damn quickly. So that's a good change right there. Our intention is that an enemy army would be able to tear down a stone wall that is constructed right under its nose. This change is a step in the right direction, but we've got future plans to ensure stonewalling is a proactive strategy and not a reactive strategy. I like that. This is a great change right here. Units. Units with activated abilities will now be able to activate their ability from within a mixed multi-selection. I'm assuming that that's talking about like Khans or scouts from the Mongols, where you've got the Hawk ability. Basically, it's going to enable you to do that if you've got the whole group selected. Which, sure. Okay. Normalized all naval units to have the same target priority, so it means that they're no longer firing at buildings. Makes sense. Spearmen perform the spear wall animation faster and do not trigger their spear wall until charging cavalry is closer. This I love. I'm not sure how much you guys have watched at the top level, but I have seen this quite a fair bit. I'm bringing out the paint for this. This is definitely where we need to go. But basically, you will have like an enemy like cavalry charge approaching, and you've got spears back here, and the cavalry charge comes in, and I'm not even kidding you, I feel like the pro players might intentionally do this Like, they charge in with their cavalry and the spears brace. And when the spears brace, they don't move. You can't move them because they're being charged at, right? And then so the enemy player will pull the cav back and then recharge them at the spears. And you're trying to move your spearmen forward and you can't move them forward. And you're like, fuck off, man. I'm trying to move my spears forward and they won't go forward. So I think that's a great change. We're not going to test that one live just because it would require a willing participant. And I'm sure I've got willing participants, but at this point in time, we're just going to move on because this is definitely a change in the right direction. Grenadier damage decreased from 15 to 13. Weapon range decreased from 4 to 3. Area of effect fall-off damage reduced from 175.50 to 166.33. Developer note, in addition to having no unit counter from the core unit roster, Grenadiers also deal great damage to buildings. These stat tweaks make them a bit less cost-effective and a greater and create a bigger risk when damaging buildings. Okay, so we are going to skip this because look, I'll be honest with you guys. They deleted China. They 100% deleted China, as Javid is saying in the chat, or Javid. Thank you very much, mate. They have deleted China. And we will be talking about that a little bit further on. So, look, we will get back to this because you might... Okay, look, typically when it comes to levers, there's a concept of levers when it comes to balance. And typically the way that the developers would look to balance something would be to pull down those levers depending on the specific strength. So here, as an example, Grenadiers, they're a very cost-effective unit, very population-effective unit. In the late game, they're very difficult to deal with. So what would be one of the ways that you could do it? You could reduce the damage. That's exactly what they've done. So they've pulled down on that lever. They've also pulled down on the weapon range decrease lever. That's pulled down. Now they're also pulling down the fall-off damage reduction. That's going to be pulled down, but that's not all they've pulled down. They've also pulled down a whole bunch of other levers as well in addition to this, and that's just that's just the beginning of it. So we'll talk more about that later. Horseman armor scaling increase from 1222 to 1234. This is a great change. And I love this. It makes it a bit more dynamic in the late game. Chokunu, as an example, very strong against horsemen in the late game. I absolutely shred them. Here, they'll actually put up a bit more of a fight. So I think this is a great change. Definitely agree with this one. Monk train time reduced from 45 to 30 seconds. Another good change. Monks should be out on the battlefield. Honestly, I would be tempted to almost say reduce the cost of monks as well from 150 down to like 120 or something because they do feel prohibitively expensive. But obviously that's another thing. Fix an issue where units could attack, where units using attack move wouldn't prioritize defensive landmarks. And transport help text updated. Okay, so miscellaneous changes. We talked about this one earlier. Landmark victory condition in team games is updated so that players will only be eliminated when all allied landmarks are destroyed. So that is a great thing. This is a really, really good change. Slowed down projectile speed of cannons, culverin, and hand cannon slits. So the projectiles can be seen with the human eye. Now, they didn't actually mention bombards there, so I wonder if they touched bombards. But cool change. Herbal medicine technology cost reduced from 350 gold to 275 gold, and research time from 60 to 45 seconds. Interesting. So you can see the direction that they're going, right? They're trying to make it more viable for players to be going into monks. They're reducing the train time. They're making it so that herbal medicine is actually good, and they're trying to get people, to use this. So the Delhi Sultanate version has also had its research time increased. So they've nerfed it for the Delhi. Siege engineering has been buffed, so reducing the time that it takes to research it from 60 to 45 seconds. This is smart. This is a really smart move because 2TC play, as you guys know, is strong. And exactly what they're saying here, you have to make a blacksmith, then you have to research the tech, and then you have to create infantry to make the ram. And then, so that could take quite a bit of time before that actually gets out and rolling. And so this is going to speed that up. By the same token, this is actually a pretty good buff to the English, in my opinion, because it means those rams are going to be out 15 seconds earlier. So that's 15 less seconds you've got to respond to a ram. So this is definitely a good buff for the English, because if there's anybody who likes a ram, it's the English, and they love it nice and early. Professional Scouts drop carcass command can now be queued before holding a carcass. This is really good, and this buffs Professional Scouts a huge amount, so this is a big buff to the Holy Roman Empire, to the Rus, just simply because it makes it easier to use. One of the biggest drawbacks from Professional Scouts is that it's very APM heavy. At the top level, people like Beastie, Marine Lord, these guys have got the APM to do this very effectively, and they've got the ability in the brain just simply to remember, hey, that scout that was going to pick up that carcass, yep, let's move that back. Well, great, you don't need to do that anymore. It's very simple. You can just shift queue it now. So great changes. We already saw that one. So this is where we get to the civilization-specific changes. So obviously for me, the big one is China. You guys know I love China. We will get to that one. I'm almost tempted to say last, just because I suspect I'm probably going to be talking about that for quite some time. So Abbasid changes. Mill influence range increased by 1 tile to allow for easy connections to the House of Wisdom's influence. Great change. Camel barding has been renamed to Camel Rider barding to avoid any sort of ambiguity. Great change. Spice Road Tech now correctly increases trade chip gold. Traders and trade chips will now correctly return 25%. I feel like for Abbasid, they're just like bug fixing. Preservation of knowledge tech now no longer applies twice to techs researched. Field constructed mangonels and springles now have the correct hotkeys. Okay, it's literally just, they are just bug fixing for the Abbasid. That's all they got. They didn't get any balance changes. They're just like, we like the Abbasid, they're fine. We're going to leave them like they are. That'll be okay. Camel archers can now be selected with the select military hotkeys. Wait, could they not be before? Were they not? Like, my monks are military, but my camel archers aren't? I didn't realize that. And Incendiary Arrow visual is no longer lost when Compos is upgraded. So we're going to skip China. We're going to move on to the next one. But I guess before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the Abbasid changes. Obviously, these are great changes for Abbasid. Anytime a developer is fixing up bugs is a good sign, because bugs, obviously, they just detract from the game. And these make, when you fix these bugs, it makes these things more viable, because now they're actually doing what they should be doing. You know, why did we never see the Chamber of Commerce come out? Because the Chamber of Commerce literally didn't apply the gold for the traders. The extra gold that it's meant to give, it didn't give. All right, so let us move down to Delhi Sultanate. So Delhi Sultanate Imperial Age Tech multiplier reduced from 15x to 12x. Good change. Basically, as they say here, so it doesn't matter if you die before the research, or it doesn't matter that, you know, the gold that is provided to you for having these free techs is free if you die before the research completes. And that's exactly the case. That is one of the things that we have seen. Interestingly, we've seen Viper go for a very heavy scholar play. And I wouldn't be surprised if Delhi Imperial actually goes from being a meme to being like a Giga Chad move. When toggling the Palace of Sultan's landmarks, automatic elephant production off. Elephants will queue will now be correctly cancelled. I don't know why you'd ever want to cancel. I don't understand this landmark. They've readjusted a whole bunch of tech research times. So you can see that they've nerfed boiling oil. They've nerfed all-seeing eye. They've nerfed swiftness. Professional scouts has been nerfed. Survival techniques has been decreased. Oh my lord, look at survival techniques. Dude, oh, they did it so that you can get wheelbarrow and survival techniques in Age 1. That's cool. I like that. So you're always going to have survival techniques in Age 1. This buffs Delhi massively. This is a huge buff for Delhi, because survival techniques is 25%, isn't it? And now all of a sudden I'm getting my survival techniques before... Hold on a minute. If that's the case, that's massive. Oh, it's 15%. It's not 25%. 15 is still pretty good, though. Like, do not underestimate that, because now all of a sudden Delhi just goes straight into Age 2 with wheelbarrow survival techniques and can immediately begin researching, you know, professional scouts or horticulture. It's huge. That's massive. And that's before they get on deer as well. So, like, that isn't it. This change just here is freaking huge. Herbal medicine increased from 180 to 225. Hussar Academy no longer generates food while under construction. I swear I've seen that before. Textile Tech now increases food produced by the Hussar Academy. Tower Elephants ranged units are now properly affected by all damage upgrades. Okay. Dome of the Faith landmark changes. A change from minus 40% cost to minus 50% cost to minus 40% cost, and plus 50% production speed. Hold on. Developer note. These changes keep Dome of the Faith at the same power level in spite of the new decrease. Okay, so what they've done... So because the Dome of the Faith currently sits at a certain power level, they're reducing the time it takes for you to make scholars, all of that stuff. So to compensate for it, they are increasing the production speed. Yeah, so they're increasing the time it takes for you to produce stuff. This probably needs to be worded a bit better because it's confusing. It's only when you read the developer note that it actually makes sense. So they're buffing it here, but they're nerfing it here. But technically, this is just a nerf. They're basically just making it so that it costs 10% more now. So there you go. English. So I guess let's just summarize the deli changes. So overall, look, incredibly strong changes for the deli. Survival techniques, this is massive. I like this. This is really, really cool. I don't know whether you're going to see people going for professional scouts more now because of this. Obviously, it's also been nerfed a bit. In some matchups, it makes a lot of sense, like against Mongols. Whether we start seeing it from people out of the block, though, I wouldn't be surprised with this change. This is very, very, very powerful, honestly. So overall, for the deli, I mean, these are good changes. Definitely a buff for them, despite this. Oof, is it a buff? I think you're still going to be able to get away with 2 villagers on gold making scholars, and you're going to be able to keep up with where you were before. So I think it's 100% a buff. So good changes for the deli. They'll be happy with that. And obviously, buff to the Imperial. Very, very happy. All those deli mains out there. English naval civilization bonus and unique technology swapped. So shipwrights has been renamed to Admiralty, or Admiralty. Admiralty now provides +1 range to all English combat ships. Okay. English now has a global discount to naval units of 10%. This is smart, because you're always going to want that +1 range, but you can't really afford their 10%. Like, what do you rather? Do you rather like a 10% discount on all future naval investments? Or do you rather like a galley right now? No, I will take the galley every single day. So this is smart because then it brings in both of these bonuses. So this is great. Wingard Palace Landmark now has 2 new production options. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in and just double check this, test it out. We're going to jump in as the English. And as the English, we're going to be going in as green. That is correct. We're doing green. We're in age 3. We're all good. So this is from what I'm reading, they haven't taken away the Wingard army. They have just simply given you 2 more new armies to build. That's my understanding. We're going to just dive in, just make sure that that's correct. So Wingard, drop that bad boy down. Let's keep a few of these bad boys as well. So let's talk about that. So we've got Wingard Raiders, which is 3 knights and 3 horsemen. And then we've got the Wingard Rangers, which spawns 3 hand cannoneers and 3 crossbowmen. The Abbey of Kings landmark has also been changed to improve the radius. So it's gone from 6.25 to 7.5 tiles of radius. So this is good because it means that you can put your Abbey of Kings even further away from the town center and still put units in the TC and heal them up. So overall, these changes to the English are pretty small. It's a massive buff to their water because they get cheaper naval now, and that's as a bonus. Obviously, you've also got the +1 range, and I'm assuming this is probably a... Do I dare pause the game? I'm assuming that this is a... I'm going to go with a Castle Age tech. It's feudal. It's a feudal age tech, so you can increase the range of combat ships by +1 in the feudal age. That's pretty cool. So, one of the questions that I guess you could pose is, could you do a forward Abbey of the Kings? Like, let's say, hypothetically, I put... Like, okay, I do a kind of like a men-at-arms, horseman, something like that, right? I put the Abbey of Kings down here. I put an outpost within that range, and then I can garrison my units into that. I don't think it'll work. Actually, it could work. Like, could you imagine doing a castle push? Yeah. Okay, this is awesome. This is insane. I mean, the Wingard Palace was already, in my opinion, the best late game landmark in the entire game, and now it just gets even better. Because some matchups you don't need those trebuchet. You don't need the trebuchets. So English just went to... So it's 200 food, 100 gold. 200 food, 100 gold. It's such perfect synergy as well with enclosures. This is insane. English late game is just absolutely out the fucking wazoo. And I'm assuming... Is this affected by Military Academy? I don't know if Military Academy affects this, but we're about to find out. Hold on. Can you imagine that? Like, it's... You're getting So that's 360 and then 240 by 3, so 820. So you're getting 1100 plus resources for 300. Oh my god, and then the hand cannoneers, dude. The hand cannoneers are fucking expensive as hell. Trebs are still good, but like once you've got 12 trebs, you really don't care about like, oh, I got 1 spearman and 1 men-at-arms and 1 longbowman. It's like, bro, I really need hand cannoneers right now. Well, there you go. There you go. It's like, it's insane. So it was 1:15. And then with this upgrade, there's the potential for it to reduce even further. No, it doesn't. So Military Academy doesn't affect it. Okay. So that just makes the English late game even better. Congratulations, English. You went from S tier in the late game to S plus tier in the late game. Good job. You've got more flexibility now with that. That is crazy. All right, next up, we're going to have the French. I guess before we do that, in closing, English. I mean, this is great. I feel like they still need a lot of help in Castle Age. I don't know what it is in Castle Age. They just don't seem to have enough oomph. I don't know whether it's just the people that are playing it, like the play style. Maybe there's not enough knights. Maybe there's too many longbows, but they just feel like they don't have enough oomph in that Castle Age. French. Royal Institute discount increased from a 20% discount to 30% discount. Oof. I'm sure you guys can imagine what I'm thinking about this right now. So they're saying while we are seeing this landmark in some matchups, we'd like to be more competitive with it. We'd like it to be more competitive with the Guildhall. This landmark, in my opinion, was already incredibly slept on. The only time I ever lost to French on the ladder as China was when they went this landmark, because it is so difficult to fight against French cavalry that have got that extra health. And you underestimate it. That's the problem. You take a fight and you think, I'm going to be able to beat this, but you can't. And the problem is, because you don't beat that fight, all of the cavalry survive, they heal up, and then things just go from bad to worse. And this is obviously just going to make it more viable, more common. And I wouldn't be surprised if with this, we see French going from a 53 or 54% win rate to like 57, 58% win rate, just because 2 town center into mass knights going into Castle Age and then getting the upgrade. The problem is that knights are a win condition. If you've got more knights than your enemy can handle, you almost certainly will just win, because those knights are then free to roam. They go to the woodlines, they go to the gold mines, they go to the stone, they go into the underneath the town center. They don't care about the town center at all. They are free to go and hit the economy. They can sit on top of production. It is incredible. And now, all of a sudden, now you've taken that, and you've taken this civilization that people were almost pretty happy to go the Guildhall with. And the problem with the Guildhall is that it takes time, right? Like, it's going to take maybe 5-6 minutes before you get your first, your first little build up from that. Whereas now, you've just gone, okay, well, we're going to give them a 30% discount. And, like, if we take a look at how long it takes for the upgrades to come through, Royal Bloodlines, it is a 90-second upgrade. So, as soon as you hit Castle, immediately research Royal Bloodlines, push, kill, win. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. And I wouldn't be surprised if this change just single-handedly... I mean, the change itself isn't big. The discount from 20 to 30% isn't big. What's big is that if the developers promote this, people are they're gonna wake up to it. And that's the problem, because people realize the strength of this landmark. It is going to completely change the way that, like, I mean, we'll just see how it plays out, but my opinion is that this landmark really is incredible. Red Palace default weapons increase from 3 to 2, so they're going to be relying more on the garrisoning inside. Makes a lot of sense. College of Artillery's Royal Siege units are included in the Melee versus Siege, or Melee v Siege rework. Chamber of Commerce was giving no bonus to trade value. It now gives the proper value. French trade ship bonus changed from plus 20% gold to plus 20% all resources on trades. Are you serious? French just became S tier in FFA. I'm not even kidding you, dude. This is insane because you can get, now you get plus 20% stone in the late game as well. Ooh. Damn, dude. French looking good right now. Okay, like overall, these changes. I don't know if this is the right direction for French. Let's start by saying that I was expecting some sort of Royal Knight, maybe not a rework, but like at the very least, for the Royal Knight being like, okay, the Royal Knights are really strong. It's difficult to fight Royal Knights in the feudal age because of their power to heal up. We've moved chivalry from age 2 to age 3. Or like, oh, we've increased the time that it takes for chivalry to come in by another minute. Like it's a 2-minute tech or something like that. Nope. Just make knights even stronger. Royal bloodlines, they are now coming online. Oh man. Okay, look, I'll be honest, I'm expecting to see a lot more French. Just from this, because I think people are going to start to realize how good this is. Once it starts coming out, you see it in a few matchups at the moment. It'll go from a few matchups to all matchups, in my opinion, because French Castle is so strong. French Castle is probably the best in the game. All right, let's talk about the next civilization. We've got the HRE. The HRE, I always see it. Whenever I say it, I don't know why, but people spell it in the Twitch chat and they say like they spell my H. So I don't know if I'm saying it wrong or that's just my accent, but there you go. So the Regnitz Cathedral landmark now provides plus 100% gold from all captured relics instead of 200% gold from 2 relics garrisoned within. It is also now a fully functional monastery. This is a change that the Viper actually recommended a few months ago. It's great to see that it is now coming in, and basically just says that instead of it being a very all-in style landmark, in that, not all in, but you guys get what I mean, right? Like it's a very hit or miss landmark. Now it's going to be a landmark that you are thinking a little bit more about, and you've got to be a bit more careful with in your positioning, because if you've got one safe relic and one contested relic that you think you might be able to get, is it really going to be worth getting the Regnitz Cathedral now? But one of the good things to note, obviously, it has been buffed as well because it now acts as a fully functional monastery, which means that you no longer have to train prelates out of your town center. You are going to be able to train them out of there. But by the same token, typically you're going to want to have at least 2 or 3 prelates during your transition period, so that as soon as you age up, bam, pick up the relics, everybody's on the way back home. All right, give me a second here. I'm just gonna double check and see. What do we got here? I'm just gonna send a message to my fiance right now because she's probably gonna wake up soon at 7:20. I'm gonna say, hey, if you wake up, I would love a coffee. And then I'm gonna put in brackets, mocha with 1 sugar. And I'll put some XOs. All right, there we go. She has been alerted. At Aussie Drongo, will you play soon? Probably not going to play right now. Just sort of going to analyze that. That's pretty much it. We might do a little bit of playing, actually. The reason why I'm sending her that message is because very often she'll wake up and she'll just like immediately be like, hey, do you want coffee? So I'm just going to preempt it like with the wake up and just send that message out right now. Blast that out right now. All right. So Holy Roman Empire, we've talked about this one. Prelates will also inspire units when they start healing. This is interesting because one of the issues that I noticed with prelates is obviously there's a cooldown on healing or on inspiration, right? Like it's not so easy to inspire an entire army. It lasts for a fair while, but it takes a while to do it. So that's a cool change. Minework Palace landmark discount and research speed increased from 30 to 40. I guarantee you, Beastie looks at that, he's like, it's still fucking shit. Never make that landmark, dude. Never. They could make it like 100% and Beastie would still be like, it's still dog shit, dude. Don't make the landmark. I can see it right now, dude. I can hear it. I can hear it in my head. Arkan Chapel landmark now accepts the drop-off of all resources. So let's just go and have a look right now at what some of like... Oh, bit of a lag right there. I want to take a look as the What am I going to go? The purple Holy Roman Empire on Dry Arabia here, which is marked as open. Okay. What does a decent opening look like now? Or like, what does your standard opening look like for them? Because in the early game, they're typically going to be dropping down berries or a mill on the berries for wheelbarrow, okay? And a lumber camp and gold mine. Now, before you age up, you're going to need a house. You're going to be on the berries. You're going to go over to gold so you can age up. And now you're going to be ready to age up. Okay, but you probably haven't dropped a lumber camp yet. I don't know exactly how the build orders work for the Holy Roman Empire. I'm assuming you'd probably drop the lumber camp though. Maybe you could go on stragglers, I don't know. Ark and Chapel. So it also acts as a drop off. So this changes the way that you want to play now, because I can put this like right up against my tree line. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Maybe you could go, see, you still want to get the berries, right? So is that it? You go right there. That's your spot. And it acts as a drop off. But the thing is now you can't chop wood until you get to age 2. And is that something that you're going to want to do? So where does this come in? This really comes in to when you're farming. So if this acts as a drop-off point, let's get rid of that. If this acts as a drop-off point, we're going to put it back over here, just hypothetically. Get my Ark and Chapel down, baby. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 farms coming down around it immediately. And then from there, like, what, you're just throwing down some mills? Like 1 mill over here, 1 mill here, 1 mill here. Like, something like that, I'm assuming. Oh, it's got to be close, doesn't it? I think you got to go like 1 mil in a little bit earlier. But you guys see what I mean, right? Like, it is very clearly a buff to the Holy Roman Empire with their farming economy. And then that picks up all of those on the outside like that. Something like that. I don't know. What do you guys reckon? Is there a way that you would increase the efficiency there? So that's a total of 40 farms. And I've still got this position out here, which I could be dropping down a mill in. Yeah. More than enough. And like maybe out here as well. Let's just do like that. I'm sure Reddit's going to go crazy with this, but you guys can see, right? With this being a drop-off, it changes the way that it makes it so much easier for you to do farm transitions as well. So this is a great buff. It is a really good buff. I love this because it changes the identity of the landmark. Well, not the identity, but it changes the direction of the landmark. It just makes it a little bit more helpful. And this is the big thing. Like, one of the big changes that I said to the developers that I would like for the Chinese, like, okay, China have, in my opinion, one of the worst feudal ages in the game. How could you make their feudal age a little bit better? Let's take the Imperial Academy and let's just make it so that when you've built this landmark, it can make Imperial officials. You can only make 4 Imperial officials in the first place. And one of them typically gets made at the very beginning of the game. So at most, you're saving 60 seconds from your main town center. Like, if there's a way that you can sort of just add to the identity of these landmarks, do it. And that's exactly what they do with this Ark and Chapel change. And that's why I love it. I think it's a great change. And it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Fixed a gross bug where Dark Age and Feudal Age prelates were only healing 3 Why does it say a gross bug? Why does it say a gross bug? Oh my lord. This bug was gross. Okay, so look, overall changes to the Holy Roman Empire. I love it. I think it's great. I think they make the mine work a little bit more viable, even though I'm sure Beastie's going to hate it still. They make the Ark and Chapel a little bit cooler. They make it a little bit cooler. I like the fact that it's got the drop-off a little bit easier to transition now into farms. You can treat it like a town center. And also there is that, like, you know, there's going to be situations where you can probably drop it down. Like, if we jump into another game right now, this time, if we jump in as the Orange Holy Roman Empire, but, like, you're going to find games where you've actually got spawns that are viable, where you can smack that bad boy up against, like, maybe a stone mine or something, like a stone outcropping. So, there's real... Let's go there, and then house over here. And then your Archon is obviously coming down around this area. You can't... see, it's a bit tough, isn't it? You can get, like, over here. But you're going for influence, so you barely get those gold, and then you don't get this. This is a hard... That's a hard Archon right there. I don't even think... Is that the best one you can do right there? I think that's the best Archon you can do. Even that doesn't feel that good. I mean, I'm getting gold and, like, the beginning of wood. Like, fuck it, man. I'm just gonna stick it right here. Something like that. I don't know. But you guys get the point, right? Like, there's gonna be spawns that you've got where the Archon Chapel now actually makes a real big difference to your opening. Makes it a little bit easier to transition into farms. So, great changes there for the Holy Roman Empire. Does it move them up a tier? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. If anything, it reduces the power of the Regnits, and with that makes the Burgrave a bit stronger. So maybe it makes, with making the Burgrave a bit stronger, it makes 2TC play a bit stronger, which means Holy Roman Empire players will stop going for Fast Castle, which is like, do you want to know why Holy Roman Empire players lose to French and Mongols so much? Because they all try and go Fast Castle and they die. It's like, just play a little bit of feudal and get up safely and you'll be fine. Anyway, great changes for the HRE. Next up, we've got the Mongols. Mangudai time between attacks reduced from 1.38 to 1.25, so it's a small change. So we made some back-end changes to attack speeds, which resulted... It says attack spends, by the way. I don't know if we've got any developers in here at the moment, but that's two interesting words within 2 lines. I am taking note. Which resulted in some one units attacking slightly slower. Some ones units attacking slightly slower. Jeez, I'm starting to feel like I might be a bit of a grammar Nazi right now. This change helps sets the unit back to its original strength. This change helps set the unit back to... Okay, that one was fine. The Traction Trebuchet unit and the improved Siege Works research are included in the melee versus Siege rework. Oh yeah, they changed Siege Works. That makes sense. So, improved economy technologies. Somebody in chat just said... oh, gosh, sorry. Someone in chat just said the Regnit's change is clearly a nerf. If you've got 3 relics in it, you have 600 gold a minute. If you've got 2 relics in the old one, you've got 600 gold a minute. So, you now have 1 less relic to do stuff with, like put it in a... Put it in a keep, put it in an outpost, and you still get the same amount of gold. So yes, in that regard, it is. But I would also just remind you of the direction that they are looking to go with regard to the changes to scholars, prelates, monks, imams, shamans. They are looking to make them more commonplace on the battlefield. And as a result, I would expect that with the Regnitz Cathedral acting as a monastery, it's going to be important. Obviously, it's an objective nerf to the gold gathering of the Regnitz Cathedral. But I think it remains to be seen as to the utility of the landmark now. Relics are no longer put in the Regnitz with this. Oh! Oh, shit! Oh, damn! Oh, so... Oh! Bro, get out of here. What are you talking about? That's a fucking... That is not a nerf. That is sick, dude. Are you serious? Get the fuck out of here, dude. That's every relic? Bro, that's fucking... Nah, that ain't a nerf, bro. Get out of here. That's a buff, man. Bro, that's sick. All right, Holy Roman Empire. You're moving up in the world. Look, at the end of the day, you're going to be getting less gold from 2 relics, but you're going to be getting more gold from every other relic. So this is definitely, like, this is big. I'm just thinking about, like, this is one of the things, right? If the Holy Roman Empire manages to get castle and snags away, like, 4 of the relics, they've now got 800 gold a minute that are in outpost with Springalds that are just firing off at 12 fucking range, hitting your villages from across the map in keeps that they've got emergency repairs on, and then they drop down the Elsbach Palace because they don't need to go Palace of Swabia because they went 2 TC and feudal because they're not brain dead. It's like... Bro, that's good. That's good. That's good. I like that. All right, back to Mongols. Back to Mongols. Okay, so improved economy technologies. Bonus of the improved economy technologies increased from 5 to 7.5%. That's good. Obviously, it buffs up the Mongols in the late game, but it also makes, like, those technologies typically weren't used. What are you going to use your stone on in the late game? Pretty much, like, improved roller shutter triggers. That's pretty much it. And then maybe emplacements. That's genuinely it. It's like bombard emplacements, springald emplacements, outposts. That's pretty much it. For stone. So this makes it maybe a little bit more attractive. They're like, hey, come on. You want to get horticulture? You want to chop down a tree in one chop, don't you? Come on. Come on, get it. Kurultai landmark changes. Kurultai aura radius increased from 4 to 7.5 tiles. That's massive. Healing effect no longer requires the Khan to be present with its aura. Bro, you're buffing the Mongols out here. Like, unironically, you're buffing the Mongols. Increases the radius, I mean, they're not even nerfing like the gold landmark, are they? Remove the Khan requirement means the building still provides value. Yeah, I agree. Look, the Kurultai needed changes, and it needs to become more viable. I agree. I agree with the spirit of the change. I just don't agree with the Mongol. So I'm a Mongol hater. But you guys know the devs are Mongol mains, so it's a bit different there. GeoJ in the chat saying, it doesn't matter how much you buff the Kurultai, no one's going to take it over the Step Redoubt. And I got to agree with you. Yeah, this could be a 16 tile aura. And it's like, well, I've got an extra 50% gold, which I'm then going to be translating into wood for a town center. Kurultai ain't going to give me that. Maybe the Kurultai works for some sort of all-in. Maybe. But other than that, it seems kind of useless. Like, it's obviously got use in the late game, but I think as we typically see, it's paired with the trading landmark. But if you're not going for the trading landmark, which is like every game, when does the Kurultai have genuine use? Mongols now have access to geometry and the improved geometry technology. So geometry, if I remember correctly, is the upgrade that increases the damage of trebuchets. We'll just quickly double check that though. Might be in the Siege Workshop. Yeah, rams and trebuchets by 30%. Cool. Improved Tithe Barns now generates the correct amount of resources. Yo, can Tithe Barns now generate the correct amount of resources? Because it doesn't. Can we get Tithe Barns? Improved Tithe Barns gets fixed, but Tithe Barns doesn't? Hey, come on, man. You can't be doing me like that. Packed pastures and barracks now have the same health as their unpacked versions. Now have access to the geometry, okay, in the Siege Workshop. So that one got mentioned twice. Look, overall changes to the Mongols. It is in the right... I mean, I don't disagree with anything here. At all. I think these are good changes for the Mongols. Is it going to make the Mangudai used more often? Not really. Is it going to make people go for the improved economy technologies in the late game? Nope. Is it going to make people go for the Kurultai more? Nope. But it is going to make the Kurultai stronger. And I think the reality is, if you can make it to the mid game as the Mongols and actually get use out of the Kurultai, then the game's pretty much already won at that point. Because your trade is online. But I don't know, like, there's a lot of caveats to that. Alright, let's move on to the Rus. Not the last civilization. Keep in mind, we still do have China. And that's going to be quite a big chat that we have right there. Rus. Horse archer time between attacks reduced from 2.62 to 2.125. Okay. Didn't we just go through like 2 months of horse archers only? We made some back-end changes to attack speeds, which resulted in someone units attacking slightly slower. This change helps set the unit back to its original strength. No. That was intentional. No, we intentionally nerfed the horse archer so that it's not only horse archers being thrown out every fucking game. And now we're just bringing it back. All right, fair enough. Welcome back to the Rus meta, boys. Horse archers were originally at like 1.5. We'll see. I honestly thought that the horse archer was fine. It's got niche uses. It's a really strong raiding unit. It's great in a lot of matchups as well. It's really good against France. Okay. Well, this is a big... That's a massive Rus buff. Spasskaya Tower landmark now unlocks the building of stone walls. So it actually makes the stone walls... Okay. Okay. That's good. And now Rus can make stone walls in FFA as well. Do you what are the techs? Hold on, what are the techs in the Rus age for? Because you have banded arms, which is the main one. Like you're always like, this is the one that you care about, right? But the difference between 12 and 12.5 tiles, it's not that big. In some matchups, it's really big. Oh, and by the way, can I just show you guys? By the way, Mongols, they didn't get nerfed. Nope. You got roller shutter triggers. They still got improved roller shutter triggers. Still gives you 3 tiles. They didn't fix that. But what are the other options that you've got? You've got Wandering Town, which increases Rand damage by 100%, so that's useless. Reduces the reload time of bombards by 20%. This is actually pretty decent. This is quite good, but you don't have to go bombards. Right? Like if you're going trebuchets as the Rus, which is definitely a possible thing that you can do, then you don't need that. Siege crew training. Setup and teardown speed of trebuchets and mangoes is instant. So realistically, you're not losing a huge amount by going high armor. Like if you don't take high armory, it's objectively the better landmark, with the exception now of stone walls. So who knows? Another interesting thing, they didn't change stone walls. And look, I probably should have mentioned that at the start, but I've got an entire fucking list of things that I need or that I wanted changed. And this is probably the perfect video to reveal it on. But let's keep going. Kremlin landmark changes. Influence range increased from 4 to 8 tiles. That's fucking huge. We gotta jump in a game and check that one out. We're playing the Rus, and we're playing in the color red. We're playing as the red Rus right now. Am I in age 1? Yeah, I am. The red Rus. I can pick my color finally. Alright. I'm just gonna go for a Kremlin. Bro, that's fucking massive. Compare that to, like, what it used to be. Probably shouldn't whistle into the mic, sorry guys. I didn't mean to hurt your ears. Okay, so that's a big radius. So it increases the influence range, and the default weapon range also is increased from 6 to 8, and the garrison arrow range is 6 to 8. Developer note, these changes should allow for more flexible placement to get the Kremlin in a good defensive position, while also providing a bonus to wood gathering rates. Well, look, if there's anything defensive, just looking at the way that my enemy's base is laid out right now, I would say like a good defensive position would be like about here, I think, is probably about the best spot. That way the town center is going to be able to fire at the Kremlin, but not at the villages on the backside. I think that's a very defensive position right there. Bro, like, congratulations, you played yourself. There's nothing defensive about that. High Trade House changes. Fix the aura indicator on the high trade house to represent the correct tree counting range. Note that the area is now visually bigger, but this is now an accurate representation of what trees are being counted by the landmark. Note, gold penalty for the high trade house adheres to the radius that the hunting cabin uses for tree counting. Lodger attack ships now retain their +8 damage versus incendiary ships after researching incendiary arrows, and Lodger ships were scaled to different sizes. They are all normalized now. Okay, so look, I understand they're trying to make the Kremlin more viable, but I feel like this probably wasn't the direction to go. By increasing the weapon range, by increasing the garrison range, you're taking it from being a defensive unit and making it an aggressive unit. How would have I changed it? I would have said, okay, this is great. Influence range increased by 4 to 8 tiles. That's a good start. You know what else you can do? Well, this is, you know, earlier we were talking about those levers. You know, how do you pull levers? Well, we talked about the Grenadier. They pulled 3 levers right there, just on the Grenadier itself. They pulled down the damage lever, they pulled down the range lever, and they pulled down the AoE lever. So what's a lever that they could pull here with the wooden fortress? Well, it returns 20% more wood. Well, why don't we just say, okay, the Kremlin now acts as a wooden fortress that comes with Arislit's castle turret and castle watch technologies, also provides an additional 10% wood in your influence. Like, there you go. Boom. Now I've got a reason to actually choose the landmark. Would I still choose it over the Golden Gate? Probably not. It's the best landmark in the game. But it makes it a little bit more viable. So, to me, look, I don't like this change at all. I really don't like this change. And the reason why I don't like this change is because we just quite literally came from a game where Caspar was rushing somebody with the Rus with 14 wooden fortresses. And you know what's going to fucking be the cherry on top in the next patch? It's when he starts it all off with a fucking Kremlin. That's going to be the best part. So, yeah. Well, look, I think for the Rus, like, this change here, questionable. This change here, great. This change here, this specific change, very good. These 2 changes, not good. This one, perfect. This one, great. These ones here are big factors that we're going to have to talk about. This one, we'll have to wait and see how it goes, how it plays out. I'm curious to see the strength of the horse archer in the patch. But now let's move on to the Chinese, because the Chinese are my personal favorite civilization. I'm very passionate about the Chinese, as you guys know. And it's important that when you guys are watching this on both YouTube and Twitch, and this goes to both people that are watching it from a professional space, that being developers, or people watching this for entertainment, that being players, look, I'm going to be honest with all of my thoughts here, and do my best not to upset or offend anybody. Fire Lancer move speed increase from 6 to 6.5. So we've got more plans for the Fire Lancer in the future. This was an easy win to help fit it into its intended rating role. They've also reduced the time it takes between attacks from 1.75 to 1.62. So, nice little change. Give it a nice little buff, make it a bit more viable, because at the moment it's not really used. I think it's a good change. I like this change. I support it. Pyrotechnics only affects hand cannoneers instead of all gunpowder units. Weapon range bonus changed from 20% to 1.5 tiles. Total cost reduced from 1,000 to 500 resources. Developer note. Chinese were stacking bonuses onto their gunpowder units, creating super units like the Clock Tower Bombard that is too good in too many roles. Focusing pyrotechnics just on the hand cannoneers allows it to stand out more from other hand cannoneers and let us buff some of the other unique gunpowder technologies like reload drills. All right. Where do I even begin on this? For me, pyrotechnics was the identity of China. I had a technology that could increase the range of my hand cannoneers from 4 to 4.8. It could buff up my grenadiers from 4 to 4.8 range as well. It could take my bombards from 10 to 12 range. It could take my Baochuans up to, I think it was from like 8 range up to 9.6. It was a technology that enabled me as a Chinese player to have that superiority in the late game. And obviously, what they're saying is true. That the Clock Tower Bombard was a super unit. But it wasn't just because of pyrotechnics. It was because it was a Clock Tower Bombard, so it got an extra 50 health. It was because of reload drills, so it got an extra 33% attack. It was because of pyrotechnics, because it got an extra, the extra 2 range. It was because of Ming Dynasty, because it got an extra 10% health. There was like 6 different buffs that were getting applied here. And obviously the biggest one was pyrotechnics. But to go and change pyrotechnics from being a technology that affects all of the Chinese units, of which, by the way, there are unique units in there being affected, specifically the Grenadier, to only affecting the hand Cannoneers, significantly takes away from the identity of the civilization. Because now in the late game, which unit am I going to make? Am I going to make the Chokunu, which is a dynasty unit and unique to me as China? Am I going to make the Grenadier, which is a dynasty unit and unique to me as China? Or am I going to make the hand Cannoneer, which is not unique to me? And this technology gets relegated because now I have to make a choice as to what I'm going to do. Am I going to go for Grenadiers? Well, we already know the answer to that one because the Grenadier has been completely deleted. We can talk about that as well. So units. So Grenadier damage decreased from 15 to 13. Weapon range decreased from 4 to 3. And their damage fall off as well. So what they didn't mention here is that obviously the weapon range has gone from 4 to 3. Well, with pyrotechnics, it was 4.8. And now it comes down to 3. So you haven't nerfed the range here by 25%. You've nerfed it by closer to 40%, which is incredibly significant. So let's continue moving on. But I guess for me, the big thing was, if I was looking at pyrotechnics, I wouldn't be saying, okay, let's make it so it only affects hand cannoneers. It's like, bro, I've literally I got +2 ranged attack. I got veteran Chokunu. I've got 46 Chokunus. And now you're telling me that pyrotechnics is going to be coming out and blasting us with my hand cannoneers in the late game. It's like, bro, I've been working hard on my Chokunu game this whole game. And now you're just telling me like, oh, here, make hand cannoneers instead. It's like, but I want to make my dynasty unit. No, just make hand cannoneers. They get an extra 1.5 tiles of range. Ooh. If I would have changed this, or if I could have gone for a direction change on this, it wouldn't have been 20% to 1.5 tiles. It would have been 20% down to 10%, or 20% to 15%. It needs to keep in with that identity of the civilization. That's my opinion. So reload drills has... Okay, so you've increased the power of the bombard there. Perfect. I didn't even mention the nest of bees. Obviously, it also increases the range of the nest of bees. Not anymore, though. So more nerfs. Granary cost reduced from 250 wood to 150 wood. Yeah, good change. Definitely agree with that. I think one of the biggest issues for the granary is that it's just so fucking big. So it can be really hard, especially as China. China, you're typically like... When you're playing as China, okay, picture a map. That's your map, okay? And you spawn in over here with that nice big X. All right, somewhere around there. And your enemy spawns in over on this side around there. Typically what's going to be happening is you're going to be walling up like an absolute madman around the edges of the map like this. And you won't always have a lot of room in the back of your base because you might have like natural formations or something like that. It can be hard for you to actually find space to drop a granary down. But I think with this change, we might actually start people putting granaries on deer hunts. I think this is probably something that we might see just because it saves a lot on walking distance for your deer hunts and then enables you to transition into farms, especially with this cost reduction. So I think this is a really good change for the granary. It still sort of keeps their identity there together, or like they don't change it too much. Barbican of the Sun landmark changes. Now has the ability to purchase Springald and Cannon emplacements. This is insane. This is an insane thing for China. Obviously, the Barbican it's an objectively bad landmark for what it is. It's a glorified outpost with a lot more health. But for what it does for China in the early game, it's incredible. That's exactly what China needs. It needs to buy itself space. And this basically takes it from being a glorified outpost into a pseudo keep, because now you can actually get a sprinkled emplacement on it, and your enemy cannot ignore it in Age 3. They actually have to, you know, respond to that. So I like that change. I think it's a really good change. Great Wall Gatehouse landmark changes. No longer provides damage bonuses to units locally around the landmark. No longer provides bonus health to stone walls and gates. Now comes with a nest of bees emplacement that fires a burst of 16 arrows. Now provides all of your units on stone walls with plus 25% ranged damage. So I'm going to assume that for this landmark, it's still, like, everything about this landmark is still the same, in that you must build it on a stone wall. Let's get ourselves a nice pink China. Let's make sure that we're in Age 3. But it comes with that emplacement on it now. So I'm assuming that it shoots off in any direction. We'll have a look and see if there's any new cosmetic difference to the actual landmark. Bit of lag right there. Alright, so we're going to drop that down. And the Great Wall Gatehouse, Great Gate Wall House, is getting dropped down. So the Great Wall Gatehouse led to a passive style of gameplay that relied on building a huge mass of stone walls that took too long to get through. We've refocused the gameplay around making the placement of the building impactful and encouraging combat on and around walls. I like this change. I think this is great. I did like this landmark in the first place for what it did. It was a really good landmark for what China is, for that late game style. But it's not fun. It is not fun to play against. And so I think that this is a smart decision, especially with the emplacement. But we'll have to see how it goes, because I don't know how exactly it works. It's also got 7,500 health, which is more than what a normal... Can we get a university here as well and up that even further? I'm assuming this gets affected by court architects. Can I focus the ground? Maybe we're just going to have to wait for our friend over here to actually get some units out. Hopefully he just doesn't make a landmark a wonder and just look to defend it. That's got a lot of health on it. And Court Architects is going to push that up even further. Oh, you guys are finishing off the walls. I see. Yeah, so I think this is definitely the right change. I wonder where the fire comes out of, though. Because I don't see any emplacement. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we should have rushed him with our nest of bees emplacement. Because... is it bugged? Target the sheep? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool. So, I guess the thing for me here is that this serves... It's got 10 tiles of range. That's pretty good, actually. And it shoots all sides. You could genuinely put this in your fucking... Okay, I guarantee you that's the play. So, let's say this is our base, right? So, like, we're stonewalling up over here, something like that. Like, I don't know. You guys get what I mean, right? Like, we're stonewalling up like madmen. It's in... You just chuck it in the back. Just throw it down in the back on top of your farms when a raid comes in. Happy fucking New Year. Like, that is... It's got 10 range. Because the thing is, your enemy runs into this. It just doesn't happen, right? Like, no one's going to be just throwing units at the fucking Great Wall Gatehouse. This is a keep. You can't go... You can't go through this. You have to kill it. You have to kill it. It's just that simple. So you can actually probably get some decent use as anti-raid on the backside. And 10 range is a lot of range as well. Yo, are you picking up relics? I didn't know it played a sound when someone picked up a relic. Look at this motherfucker building a high armory. That's cool. That's cool. I like that. Court Architects also pumps that bad boy up to 9,750. But once again, I mean, it's... To be fair, maybe it's like, it is a keep, the same way a barbican is, that's going to take wood. Because remember the change to the to keeps in that these guys now require stone to repair. So maybe that's another factor as well. So we'll have to think about that a little bit more, but I think that's definitely a change in the right direction. Spirit Way landmark changes. Oh boy. Oh boy, here you go. Oh, this one's a fucking this one's a cracker. You guys are going to love this. Spirit Way landmark no longer reduces the cost of dynasty units in stables and archery ranges around the landmark. It now houses dynasty technologies, which can be researched for 50% cost and 100% of the research speed. Poggers. Dynasty technologies? What the hell are dynasty technologies? There's a whole bunch of new technologies available to China. They are the dynasty technologies. They are brand new. We have never seen them. No, they're not. They're the existing technologies for the Chokunu and for the Fire Lancer and for the University Ancient Techniques. That's it. That's literally it. That's it. It's just the upgrades for the dynasty units. That's it. You know the best part? Let's say you go Imperial and you want to get your elite Chokunu upgrade. You can't supervise the Spirit Way either. So if you want to get it at a reduced cost and you want to get it ASAP, can't do it. You just got to supervise it at an archery range. So I guess the next part of it is redeeming in its functionality. When a dynasty unit dies nearby, dynasty units will receive 20% attack speed and 20 health over 10 seconds. So I don't know exactly how this works. We're gonna build a whole bunch of my baddest motherfuckers. We're gonna find out a little bit more about this. So here you can see we've got ancient techniques, so I can research this now and get my extra 5% gathering rate for my villagers, just that extra bit cheaper. And I've also got my elite fire lancers as well as my elite Chukunu. So that's very pog. Pyrotechnics is also now in the archery range rather than in the university. Interesting. Production building cannot be used on landmarks. So in addition to that, so I don't know if this stacks or not, but if that stacks, it would be completely busted, and I would just literally make only Chokunu, and I will get Conqueror 3 with it, with only Chokunu. Because that would be insane. Could you imagine that? Like just like a mangonel shot comes down and kills 4 Chokunu, and then all of a sudden, you're just absolutely Gucci. All right, for all you guys that were memeing me and laughing earlier before about the coffee memes, guess who is awake and guess who has just brought me a mocha. And now she's giving me one of those looks. Thank you very much for the coffee. What was that? Say that again? She said you're welcome. But anyway, I got my coffee. Okay, so we are gonna get ourselves a couple of grenadiers. While we test this. Oh, I totally didn't realize the orientation of this map. Oh, did we just get a random color as well? I don't remember assigning yellow to myself. I could be wrong. Oh, dude, we're up against China. How can we win? He's China. And who got her coffee? That is a good question. It was actually, she's the barista in the house. I'll say that much. Okay, so these guys get increased attack speed. Oh, shit. Oh, they made it so that... Hold on. Okay, they didn't mention that. Plus 65 versus building? Hey, has it always been plus 65 versus buildings for grenadiers? Grenadiers haven't always been plus 65 on buildings, have they? I thought they just applied their normal... Didn't they just apply their normal... Interesting. So there's some buffs in here that they haven't mentioned, which is redeeming. Alright, so if I delete one of these guys... They don't... Hold on, they're not getting the extra damage. Something like 30 damage. 31 damage. Is their attack speed faster or is it just me? Why are they attacking so fast? Do they used to attack that fast? When a dynasty unit is killed, nearby units will receive 20% attack speed. So, oh. So if I delete this guy, 1.38. So if I delete two of these guys, oh, they're healing. So, how big is that buff though? That doesn't sack. Oh, that's fucking big. Okay, okay. Okay, so the role of the Grenadier has obviously been changed. I don't know if it's we need to work out the math a little bit here because so it should be doing 81 damage to buildings. There's 50 ranged armor, but this does siege. Oh no, it does ranged. Never mind. So it should do 31 damage a pop. 32. I'll accept it. I'm assuming that's... Did they change the damage type? Is that probably why? Does that mean if someone's got ranged armor, that now counters the Gren? In which case, does it mean the Horseman is now really good against the Grenadier because it has 4 ranged armor with +3 is 7 ranged armor, meaning I'm doing 16. So I'm doing 9 damage a pop now, and on top of that, they reduce the area of effect. It already did before? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I didn't realize that, Twix. Thank you. Scouts now keep their Tang Dynasty bonus vision when advancing to the next age. And the Ming Dynasty bonus no longer increases the health of keeps, Stonewall Towers, and outposts. I didn't actually realize that it did. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's get in depth with this because I think this is a very strange change for China. I think the use case for the Ming Dynasty is non-existent now. I'm sure that Grenadiers will still be strong, but they don't have 4.8 range, that's for sure. They definitely don't have... They've got 2 lower damage, much lower range, and significantly greater fall off as well. 33% versus 50, 66 versus 75. I still think Grenadiers will be quite strong. But I think for me, the big thing is that Chinese siege is no longer part of its identity. You don't have to be scared of Chinese siege anymore. I don't think it's not a factor. because China has been neutered at patch after patch after patch. And for good reason. It's the best siege in the game. But I don't think that it's anywhere near as powerful as it was before. Realistically, you will now need Springalds to protect your Bombards. Bombards will not be able to fight against Culverin or other Springalds, which is an objectively good thing, but they will not be able to fight against them at all. Especially the Rus and the Mongols, they will not be able to fight against them. You'll also need trebuchets for Red Palace, that's true. So my suspicion is that we would almost... And this is where... Because of this change, it now takes the astronomical clock tower and makes it a much worse landmark. Because as China, you want to rely on your strong siege, but the reality is you're not going to be able to make it. I don't know, maybe I'm delusional. We're going to have to see how the changes play out. But for me, it doesn't make sense to put an upgrade in for hand cannoneers, where China already has the Chokunu that serve a role, where they already had the Grenadiers that are unique units that are within that same sphere. And then you go and give them something unique for a fucking hand cannoneer? Like, out of all the units, that's the one that gets the upgrade? So hand cannoneers go from 4.8 range up to 5.5. Plus 20% on wall. If there's anything we want to promote, it's more wall usage. Yeah, devs are 100% right on that in that regard. Yeah, we definitely need more walls. There's not enough walls. That for anybody wondering, that's sarcasm, by the way. That is 100% sarcasm. It's 500 res cheaper. Bro, I'm China. I have like fucking 8,000 resources a minute. I don't care about 500 resources cheaper. I'm not playing 1 TC Fast Imperial for my fucking pyrotechnics. China get no help in the early game at all. So they're still fucking useless in feudal. I just don't know what's my game plan now as China. Like, what's my goal? What do I have that other civs don't, apart from like, oh, fucking an extra 1.5 range on my fucking hand cannoneers? Bro, have you seen mangonels recently? Like, the whole game plan of China before was survive the early game so I can get to the late game. But now the whole game plan of China is just probably like 2 TC Song Dynasty into GG. Like, I can't think of anything. Like, obviously, Nest of Bees are still going to be a factor. I don't know, is it like, is Nest of Bees Springald going to be the play? Or Nest of Bees Spearman going to be the play? Like, what do I have as China? What's my win condition here? Because I'm not seeing it. Like, Grenadiers are out of the question, 100%. Like, you need to get up so close to kill anything now. And to say that, oh, you get an extra 20% attack speed, that'll do it. Well, you tell that to the 2 or 3 mangonels. And just remember, the dynamics for China changes massively as well, because you no longer have siege superiority. You're going to be making less bombards because your bombards are getting killed constantly by springalds. So you're thinking, why do I even bother with bombards? I'll just go with trebs. It's safer. There will be occasions you do make bombards. But when your enemy's got 9 springalds and is killing every one of your bombards in a single hit, and you've got absolutely no response to it other than to make your own springalds, which, by the way, you have to make them one at a fucking time out of your landmark because you can't supervise it, because you can't supervise landmarks. So, you know, we talk about that. Oh, but they get an extra 50% health. Well, if I'm making springalds, bro, how the fuck am I going to keep up with my enemy who's got 3 siege workshops on an Uvu? Or he's just making them in the fucking in the field. I'm not going to be able to. And because I'm not going to be able to, he's going to have mangonels out. And because he's got mangonels out, that's just going to destroy... I don't know. Heavy Knight, I'm going to give you a hot tip, bro. It is, do not spam the chat. I just don't know. I don't know what the game plan is now. It's got to be some sort of castle edge play. I don't think Imperial's the play anymore, is it? I mean, maybe it's Chokunu. Like, okay, you guys know my Chokunu strategy, right? Which is basically make a lot of Chokunu. That's it. That hasn't been nerfed. Like, to me, it's wild that they're nerfing China despite it being so fucking shit. It's literally the biggest dog shit civ that there fucking is, and it's just getting nerfed. I mean, it's obviously fucking insane in the late game. It's really good in fucking team games. What if I go for like some sort of fast Imperial into the Spirit Way to get extra 20% attack speed and 20 health over 10 seconds, which doesn't stack, but it's an extra 20% attack speed, which isn't bad. And if that's a Chokunu, that's not bad. If anything, the Chokunu's got a massive buff out of this. They've got an extra 20% attack speed. So if anything, Fast Imperial on China just got fucking legit. Are we 2 TC Song Dynasty into Fast Imperial Chokunu? And that's 20 health over 10 seconds? That's not percentage. That's a flat number. Chokunu have less health than any other... Like, if you look at hand cannoneers, they've got, what, 150 health, 130 health? Grenadiers, exactly the same. High health units. So they're going to benefit less from having 20 health over 10 seconds as a proportion of its health pool. And then, do you mix in hand cannoneers as well? How much is that pyrotechnics upgrade? I love that the hand cannoneer still has an R on the lower line, by the way. Oh, God. So the Spirit Way increases the research speed. So the Elite Chukunu, it takes a minute to research, it says from here, but I think it will also say a minute from here as well. It doesn't tell you. So I think that's 30 seconds. So to be fair, you could probably do that. And I think it reduces the cost as well. So you can get Elite Chukunu in 30 seconds at a reduced cost, supervise +1, supervise your incendiary arrows, start mixing in hand cannoneers as well, then go pyrotechnics. Okay, maybe it's not all over, but then you've got your military is like very focused on ranged, isn't it? So you're gonna need, like, mangonels are your threat, so you go for springled. But see, normally in that occasion you'd go for bombards. But bombards are still gonna be good because you get up to Imperial quite quickly. You might be ahead of your enemy, you might be behind them. Bombards are still gonna be decent, but they're not gonna be anywhere as good as they were. Chukunu gonna be really fun versus +4 ranged armor light cav. True, actually. Yeah, that's a big true. Interesting. Well, we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. Now, I guess before we finish this video, this is probably the most important part of the video. So obviously I've been reacting to this. This puppy is intended to be the second season, the update that comes with season 2. There were some big things that they were meant to be doing for season 2 of the pup, but I'm going to reveal my list of improvements that I feel need to be made to Age of Empires 4. I mean, well, let's get to it. Customizable hotkeys. Like, you can tick that one off. That one's done. Tick it off. Let's get a tick, not emoji. Fuck it, man. Let's get a tick emoji, dude. Let's get a check mark. Let's get that bad boy in here. Boom. Tick it off. Shift click still doesn't work. All right. Let's go test it. Shift click. We're going to test it in our favorite environment. We're going to need a little bit of time to do this, just because you actually have to build up the tax. Give me a second here. All right, everybody on the berries. All right, so we're just going to leave these guys for a while. They're going to gather up. So we're going to check if shift click works. Ability to download replays with reverse patch functionality. Do we throw a tick down there? No, we do not. We throw an X down there. Ability to restore a dropped multiplayer game. No, we throw an X down there. Let's supervise. Let's also gather from the sheep as well, because we're a fucking hardcore. Ability to reconnect to a dropped multiplayer game. No. Ability to have color selection preference. Fuck yeah, there it is, tick it up. Formations don't work, they should. Let's test that one. There are no cheats. Didn't get it. There are no taunts. Didn't get it. There is no pause. Didn't get it. Actually, let's check. Let's hash that one back for a second. It doesn't pause. No, the pause key's not pausing. So that one's an X. Create a functional spectator UI. That one's an X. Ability to disable grey fog that occurs when zoomed out at high elevation. I don't see any grey fog at the moment. Normally you'd see it at the top of the screen. Maybe they've just got rid of it. Actually, it kind of looks like they got rid of it. You can see how readable that is right there. And then look at the top. Did they fix that? I think they fixed it. I think they fixed that. That's for sure. Okay, I'm happy to tick that one off. Actually, that's not the right one. That's the right one over there. Option to enable an instant delete. So for anybody wondering what instant delete is, see how I have to hold down delete? See that? Doesn't delete instantly. Scout doesn't actually delete, by the way, because it's always healing. So, that hasn't been added. Display waypoints or visual unit pathway after issuing the command. So, as an example, see how there's no indicator right here? So if I was to create like a route like that with my town center, you can see that there is a visual indicator. But for my unit, there's not. And there should be. Because this is 2022, we don't have a budget of $3,000. It's an X on that one. Display waypoint feedback on the minimap. Well, where am I clicking? If only you guys knew where I was clicking. If only there was some kind of feedback, the same way I've got feedback right here on the minimap to just a little thing just to know that the click has gone through. But you never know. Maybe I never clicked at all. Maybe I never clicked at all. That's an X as well. All right, let's check and see if the Imperial Official works. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be grabbing the tax out of this. I'm going to be issuing a command to my Imperial Official to return the tax to the town center, and then I'm going to ask him to come back and supervise this mill. Let's take a look and see whether he's fixed it. Hold on a minute. Oh, they're doing the town center route. I'm here wondering what are these fuckers doing with their little berry baskets. Hold on a minute. We got ourselves a rodeo, ladies and gentlemen. All right, don't worry. They're just doing what they were told to do. That is perfectly fine with me. Whew, that was a close one. I got myself a little bit worried. I'm like, hold on a minute. They made a change with regard to the berries. They made it so that villagers would look for berries, and I'm like looking for the berries over here. I'm like, oh my god, where are the berries? Where are they going with those baskets? All right, so let's do it. I'm gonna be doing this at high APM as well. All right, first one was successful. They may have fixed shift. We'll wait another 15 seconds for it to come off cooldown and see if it happens again. Go AI intermediate, you can do it. By the way, another suggestion that I made was like a visible indicator that tax can be collected from a building, because there's none other than this symbol, which is when you collect an Imperial Official and hover it over a building. Let's check it. 3, 2, 1. Didn't work. Shift click still doesn't work. Okay. So formations don't work. They should. Basically, this one occurs when you press the button and the units don't get into formation. I'm going to assume that that's still not fixed, just on the basis that they didn't mention it. So now we've got the things that have been fixed in this patch. So we've got these 3 things that have been fixed, and these are the things that still need to be worked on at the moment, for me at least. Now, I'm going to assume that they haven't changed the replays, or at least they'd mention it. I don't think I've got a match history here. Is there anybody who's got a match history here, Mr. Merlin? Maybe you've got a match history? A defeat on Lipany. Who'd you lose to? Crackety here. No surprises there, mate. Tough matchup for you, though. Okay, I'm going to assume that there's been no changes to the Observer UI, because they didn't mention it. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Sacred tracker still indicating that there's 3 sacred sites on the map to capture, like I'm a fucking 6-year-old and don't know how to count to 3. You know what? A 6-year-old can count to 3. If only I knew how long the sacred site was ticking for. If only. So that one still stays up. Can you select your trees now? Nope. Can't select the trees. I can select the villagers. Select the scout, the gold, the berries. I can select a berry bush. I can't select the trees though. I just get a tree. I got 2 berry bushes. Oh, I got 4 of the small berry bushes. Prioritizing those. Okay. Interesting. Little stuff. Remove the out of bounds message. So when you take a scout and you send it to the edge of the map When you click, see that little red symbol right there? It will put a big message on your screen saying, out of bounds. It doesn't actually issue the command to just go to the edge over here. It just tells you, out of bounds. And then you actually have to click in bounds. Like, just don't say out of bounds. Just send the unit as close as possible to that position. It's not rocket science. Include player civilization flag with pinned player information. You see this little thing over here? See how it says Crackety here, Mr. Merlin, age 1, and then it's got their scores? Just put their flags. Just put their flags. These two little flags up here, just put these flags over here. Bam, bam. Nice and easy. So now I don't have to double check, oh, what civ was he playing? And I have to hit F2 to do it. Enable the ability to watch the replay of the game you just played in the post-game screen. Well, that's obviously not been done. On the loading screen, display the map that you're about to play. Because it doesn't tell you. If you go to the loading screen, it will tell you who you're playing against. It will tell you whether it's a ranked game or not, but it will not tell you the actual map that you're playing. So if you're like me and you like to look at other Twitch streamers on Just Chatting while you're waiting for a game to load, you'll be like, oh fuck, what's the map? Because I always play China. That's like, I don't care what the map is, but I come into the game. I'm not even kidding you. There have been sometimes I come into the game and I'm like, wait, what map is this? And I will spawn in not knowing what the map is. So just a little thing. Ability to toggle attack alarms on or off. Well, they've fixed that one, so we will happily tick that one. They haven't done that, but they've made it so that the symptom is what they've fixed. For people in the top 100, display their rank together with their specific ranking. So you'd have like Conqueror 3, rank 6 for Marine Lord. Provide independent volume sliders for the Gaia sounds, because as you guys know, whenever a wolf gets attacked, it's fucking loud. That is not the case here, though. Reduce font size of global notifications, because those things are giant. Every time somebody ages up, it comes up on your screen like this big. So I would say let's get that fixed. Where were we? Ability to scale the minimap. So, you know, actually making it so that the minimap is larger or smaller, depending on what you want. Fix hitboxes, because they're absolutely terrible. Try and hit that sheep there. See that sheep right there? Try and hit that when all the villagers are moving towards it. Actually got it. That was impressive. Did they fix hitboxes? Maybe they fixed hitboxes. Hide opponent's name during lobby screen. Whenever you queue up for a game, the game gives you so long. It gives you so long for you to sit in the waiting screen that it enables you to actually go to websites, certain websites, check the match history of the person that you're about to play against, have a look for the map that they last played, or have a look for the game that they last played on this map, let's say Hill and Dale, and then you see what civilization they played. Oh, they picked China. Great, I'm going to pick a counter civ. I'll pick the Holy Roman Empire. Just hide the enemy's name during the lobby screen. Hide their rank in the lobby screen, because you get people dodging. I've watched a Muslim stream for hours where he's just been in queue, and every single time he gets up against somebody, they just dodge. Anybody who's like Diamond 3 dodges. Dodge, dodge, dodge. They don't want to play against him. It's a guaranteed loss. And that shouldn't be the way that it is. Reduce the time it takes in the lobby from 30 seconds to 10 seconds. Why do we need 30 seconds to pick a civilization? Congratulations, here's the map. Pick your civ. You don't need 30 seconds for that. Take that down to 10. Provide players a 3-second countdown immediately upon entering a 1v1 ranked game. This is very simple. StarCraft do this as well. So as soon as the game begins, so that would be like quite literally as the game starts, not as the actual menu is sitting like this, where there's a play button, but as soon as this loading bar finishes for both of the players, and as soon as the game's ready to go, it comes in here, 3, 2, 1, bing, and then you can access all of this and start clicking and doing stuff. That's what I advocate for. An option to minimize victory conditions. You see these things up here that are taking up like a good 1/16 of my screen? They don't need to be. I don't need to know that I can build a wonder or control all 3 sacred sites or destroy all enemy landmarks. I should have an option to minimize that if I don't want to see it, or at least just make it smaller. Just make it site 1, 2, 3. Make a wonder symbol. Make it like this. an option to disable the extended victory or surrender animation. Get your timers out. 0. Start at 0. 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It takes 20 seconds for the view summary button to show up. Drongo, you're counting too fast? I'll be honest with you, bro. I wasn't counting fast enough. An option to disable directional clicking. If we restart, I can show you. "20 seconds of shame." Actually true. Yeah, Arvark. I'm not actually like reading off any of the subs at the moment, but you coming in for 17 months, I got to give you a big kiss. Thank you, man. Making my monthly presence in chat. First day on the new internship. Nice, dude. Congrats, man. I hope you're doing well. So directional clicking. It is this bad boy right here. See that? Have you ever tried to send villagers to a wood line? And they fixed it. They fixed it. They actually fixed it. It doesn't happen on resources anymore. Oh my god. Oh, it doesn't happen on resources anymore. Let's check and see if it happens on buildings. It still happens on buildings. And for anybody like saying, okay, but Drongo... Bro, how many rocks were in that building? Holy shit. Did that just... they put more effort into that sound than they put into the spectator UI. Holy shit, dude. Did you see that? I'm confused. What's the issue? Okay, this is the issue. When your APM is really high, okay, and your mouse movements are exaggerated. So basically that means if your mouse is coming over here and then over here and then over there and then down like that, okay, what happens is because of the low tick rate of the game for Age of Empires 4, it causes the commands to be interpreted as a different command to what you've actually issued it. So you can right click over here, okay, and it can interpret that as a right click. But the problem is if you move your mouse from here and right click and then move your mouse back, all within a very quick sequence, the game interprets it as a move command like this. And the problem with that, and this has happened not just to me, to the Viper as well. I can show you guys a clip. In fact, I will specifically get that clip up just to demonstrate it, because it annoys me so greatly. Give me a second here. I'll get it up for you guys. I'll see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna download this. And I'm gonna put it on my... Where am I gonna put it? I'll put it over here. So I think this should be it. So this is the Viper's stream. Okay? So it's taken off Facebook. That's why you can see him right now. So I was watching him playing Chinese. I was watching him do a build. And I saw this happen to him multiple times within the same amount of time. But within like... And so waiting... Hold on. Oh, you know what? Add it onto the fucking list. Can I get a button to mute Age of Empires 4? Or a command? Control S does it for most games. I shouldn't have to sit there listening to that wolf just fucking barking. So this is it. He moves the villagers right there. So what's happening? He's selecting the villagers. He's telling them to build the clock tower. Okay, but when he does that, he's picking them up and moving the mouse so fast that it's causing that command to be issued. And as a result, the villagers then go idle.
This is where I would consider just going to Imp and doing the mass Chugunu play.
So you can see the villagers are idle now. And so that is because when you are moving your villagers like this, you're essentially, it's a directional command that you can't disable. And as I showed before, like it's very obvious that you can force it like this, but the problem is that it happens with your clicking. Even if you just tap the mouse, it will still happen if you're doing it too fast. So there you can see I'm not holding down the mouse at all with my clicks. I'm just moving my mouse very, very quickly. As like that's what happens when you've got a higher APM, is that your mouse is going to be moving around. You might be going like that, and then over there, like trying to do it, and maybe come over to here as well, and then that causes your mouse to move too fast, and the information doesn't get processed correctly by the game, and that's essentially it. That's odd and does seem like a bug. Yeah, it's a very, it is definitely a bug. And it happens to me, like I pointed it out to the devs probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and it is on their radar, but unfortunately it is still there. But yes, with regard to our list, directional clicking has not been fixed. Units spawning on the specific side of a building. I'm not going to read this one here because I feel like this is a symptom of an issue. Units spawning on a specific side of a building, not in the direction of a rally point. This is a big deal. Town center not ungarrisoning units towards rally point. That's another big deal as well. But I mean, that's my list of things for Age of Empires 4 that need to be happening, and that aren't happening or are yet to happen. Obviously, I appreciate they're not going to happen overnight, but a lot of these things were pointed out to the developers a year ago, more than a year ago. And I appreciate that they are held or beholden to their publishers and their contracts, and that at the end of the day, if you're a gardener and your contract says that you have to mow half of the field, you're not going to mow the entire field. You're going to mow half of the field. And so if these developers have got a contract that says they don't have to put customizable hotkeys into the game, they're not going to put customizable hotkeys into the game because the contract didn't say it. So I'm not going to get mad at the devs. I'm going to get mad at probably the publishers, I guess. But I mean, realistically, it's about, going where you're actually listened to as a player. And I guess we finish the video on that note and just say, make sure you guys watch out, because we will be reacting to the Frost Giant RTS that is on the horizon. That will be coming up. I'll be looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys will as well. If you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you guys have enjoyed this very long-winded look at the brand new pup, because, I mean, there's a lot of great changes in here, a lot of changes that are questionable, but I accept it nonetheless, and I look forward to seeing where it goes from here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.